WrestleMania is no longer the great spectacle that it once was. Under TKO and the two-night format, WrestleMania is being ruined. Welcome back, everybody, to Screw the Script. I'm your host, as always, Maverick here. Thanks for joining me this Monday. Special drop for you on a Monday because I did not post on Saturday as it was WrestleMania weekend. I was also extremely busy this weekend with family-related stuff, so I apologize for not uploading on Saturday, but I did want to make a video covering WrestleMania, and then I got a couple of AEW things at the end of this video, but this video is primarily going to be about how awful I think WrestleMania was. It was a tale of two nights. I think, first off, before I get any further, I really think that WrestleMania needs to be moved back to one night. I also think they need to have the ladder match back at WrestleMania, the Money in the Bank in particular. I also think that they should just trim the fat and only have the really good feuds for WrestleMania. They don't need it to be two nights because they don't need to fill it with ads and promos and commercials. Everybody was complaining about it because it was so alarming how awful it was. Let's get into night one, as night one was atrocious. There was only one thing on night one that saved it from being an absolute fucking disaster. It was a near shit show from start to almost the finish. Here's the ratings on Cage Match. Now, before you say, oh, well, Cage Match is an AEW thing, I've said this before, it is not. It's been around well before AEW was even a thing. Plus, I will show you other people rating it, not just on Cage Match, screenshots of comments everywhere. You can go to pretty much every match except one, which I'll get to in a minute, from night one, and all the comments on their socials, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, are highly negative. Their first match here was LA Knight and the Usos versus IShowSpeed and The Vision. It was bland. It was boring as hell. It was not a WrestleMania level match. It wasn't even 10 minutes, and that is a reoccurring theme for WrestleMania, is cookie cutter ass matches that don't even go 10 minutes. That first match, 7 minutes only. Then Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre, which was actually the second best match of the night, and it wasn't even on the main card. And they had the tamest ass unsanctioned match I've ever seen in my life. WWE and PG shows you that there is a much lower ceiling when it comes to matches of this caliber because it was nothing. It was no different than their DQ matches that they do. There was no extra level of gruesome or gore or anything to this match that would have qualified it as an unsanctioned match. The unsanctioned matches that we see in AEW put this to shame. I think it deserves a much lower rating than it's getting on Cage Match personally, as I really don't think this match was all that good, but it was actually the second best match of the night because everything else besides Gunther and Rollins was trash. The women's tag title match, not even 10 minutes. And as a tag team match, usually tag team matches go at least 10 minutes because it's more than a couple wrestlers featured. The women got treated like shit. Both night one and night two, the women's matches did not last very long at all. Right away after that, Becky Lynch and AJ Lee, title change. Becky Lynch defeated AJ Lee. 8 minutes only. Gunther and Seth Rollins was the only match of this night that felt like Mania caliber. It was actually better than I was giving it credit for because I really didn't care for the build. And that's a common theme here is, again, there was no build to this WrestleMania. It was terrible. Liv Morgan defeats Stephanie Vaquer in probably my least favorite match out of all of WrestleMania. Liv Morgan came out to her dumbass song that I don't give two shits about. It felt like the VMAs. It was like a VMA performance down to the ring. And then Vaquer comes out to her shitty-ass music that she has now. Her old song was way better, and then she loses to Liv Morgan in not even 7 minutes, 6 minutes and 51 seconds. What in the actual fuck is that, WWE? That is such garbage. And people paid $40,000 for front row for this crap? I don't know how you justify it. Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton in one of the worst main events ever for WrestleMania. Honestly, bottom 10 ever. I'm being serious. Ever. It was confusing as hell at the end. It made no sense. Pat McAfee was a non-factor. He should have never been involved. They tried to write him off on it because they realized that it was a stupid decision, but it was still a clusterfuck of a main event. It was slow. Cody Rhodes legit hurt his eye. It was painful to watch night one. It really was. Night one, overall, for my rating system, if you're new here, I do a cans of whoop ass. 1 being bad, 0 being trash. I've never given out a 0. I'm not about to give out a 0. It wasn't that bad. And then a 6 being a perfect 6 out of 6, a perfect pack, very rare to get. Night 1 gets a 2 out of 6, almost a 1 out of 6. The only thing that saved it was Gunther versus Rollins being a decent match. And then also I did like some of the entrances. They were long. I don't think everybody needed a grand ass entrance. Certainly not a pop song entrance for Liv Morgan, but some of the entrances were really cool. So for that, I liked it. It was overall a failure of a night. 2 out of 6, which is below average. I was very close to giving it a 1 out of 6, though. Honestly, I might change that towards the end of this video the more I think about that. Right now, a 2 out of 6. Now, night 2 is completely different. It's got a 6.7 at the time of this recording on Cage Match, which is a little bit better. It's not great, but it's certainly better than night 1, because night 1 was garbage. Before I cover night 2, like I said at the beginning of the video, they need to stop doing 2-night events. Every single year that they have done it, it's always the same. One night just ends up being so much better than the other night. It's too much to pack this many matches. Night 1 honestly felt like a glorified SmackDown in front of a bigger crowd. That's how poor it was. Night 2 actually had that Mania feel. It was much better than night 1. It still wasn't perfect. There was a lot that I did not like. The stuff that I did like was what I wanted going into WrestleMania, and that was the NXT call-ups going over. Obafemi beated Brock Lesnar in under 5 minutes. Yes, another short match, but this one in particular gets a pass because we all knew it wasn't going to be a 20-minute banger. It's just how Brock Lesnar operates. He honestly finished this match and probably was home sitting down eating a T-bone steak before the main event even started. He probably got on a jet right after this. But the right person won. Obafemi is booked like a monster now, beating the Beast Brock Lesnar. I love this. This was actually my second favorite thing of the entire WrestleMania. And then right after that, my favorite thing of WrestleMania, the Intercontinental six-pack ladder match, proved my words right. And to anyone that was against it, they need to bring back the ladder match at WrestleMania. The Money in the Bank in particular. This was still fine as it was for the IC title. Penta retains, but I got what I wanted out of it. We saw Javon Evans highlighted really, really well. The OG cutter that he hit Rusev off the ladder was pretty damn good, although it looked very staged because Rusev jumped off the ladder for him to hit it, but still a cool moment. Penta hitting his Penta driver to, I believe, JD on the ladder was another really good spot. This was the only match that truly had that WrestleMania aura to it, that by the end of it, I was like, wow, that was a WrestleMania match. Nothing else had that feel to it. TKO is drowning at WWE in these awful storylines, overpriced tickets, overinflated entrances for WrestleMania, and bringing in way too many celebrities. Night 2 didn't really have much of that, and that's why it was so much better. You had Trick Williams beating Sami Zayn, also what I wanted. The match itself wasn't that great, honestly. 7 minutes too, another short match. But at least Trick won. Finn Balor came back as Demon Finn Balor. Awful of them to not keep it a secret. That's another big mistake by WWE, and he beat Dominic Mysterio barely over 10 minutes there. Rhea Ripley defeats Jade Cargill, barely over 10 minutes there. And then the only other match at WrestleMania that was halfway decent. It went on a little too long because honestly, it was just slower than molasses, this match. It was Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, over 30 minutes long, the longest match of WrestleMania. These two did better than I expected them to, and it honestly saved WrestleMania. Night 2 in particular saved WrestleMania between that, the ladder match, and Oba versus Brock. It was the saving grace of WrestleMania because the only thing that was memorable of night 1 was, again, Gunther versus Seth Rollins. Everything else at WrestleMania besides those 3 matches, I felt like J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man.
Crap, mega crap.
That is how I felt, because that is how piss poor WrestleMania was. Night 2, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 6 cans of whoop ass. It was an average night. It had a couple great matches, but then the rest of the matches were average to below average, or just not needed on the WrestleMania card. I mean, let's be honest, other than Demon Finn Balor coming back and they making a street fight last second, again, what the hell kind of street fight only lasts 10 minutes? Come on, WWE, do better than that, especially at your biggest show of the year. It was not needed. I feel like this match could have stayed off the card. There was no title involved. Really, it was just because Demon Finn Balor came back. And then also, going back to night 1, LA Knight, that tag team match with the Usos could have been left off. And you definitely could have left off Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre in an unsanctioned match, because again, that was a poor excuse of an unsanctioned match. So those 3 matches they could have trimmed out. And if they would just not spend so much freaking time on ads and promos and entrances, they could have WrestleMania back to one night and have it be 3 to 4 hours long. I mean, they blocked ESPN reporter Andreas Hale from press access to WrestleMania because he gave WrestlePalooza a C, but that didn't stop from ratings getting up, because Bleacher Report night 1 got a D+, and I feel like that was kind of generous. I honestly give it a solid D if I were to go for a letter grade. Honestly, yeah, back at it, I am dropping it back to 1 out of 6. From a 2 out of 6 to 1 out of 6, yeah. The only saving grace was Gunther versus Rollins, and that really wasn't even that WrestleMania level. It wasn't that great. So night 1 was basically a fail outside of that match. And night 2, I would say like a C+, maybe B- at the top for a grade, but a 3 out of 6 for me for my cans of whoop ass rating, which, add that together, it's a 4 out of 12 for a 12-pack rating, or a 2 out of 6 is what WrestleMania gets if you narrow that down. Or, 1/3 of the show I liked. 33% of the show I liked. That's a high school F. That is atrocious. I mean, so many moments they wanted to be better. Braun Breaker coming back at the end of the Gunther Rollins match, running at full speed down that ramp and barely shoulder tackling Seth Rollins for his sorry excuse for a spear was pathetic. And here's the stat I wanted to show you guys. So night 1 had 86 minutes of matches only for the whole night. 65 minutes of entrances. 75 minutes of ads. That is terrible. Cut that in half and you shorten WrestleMania. Same with night 2. 57 minutes of commercial breaks. 61 minutes of entrances. 98 minutes of matches. A little bit better. But again, you could trim a lot of that out. You can hold back a couple of these matches that I don't think needed to be at WrestleMania because the feud wasn't Mania worthy at all. You could totally go back to a single night WrestleMania, but they will never do it because TKO is all about profit, all about money first, and at this point, sports entertainment and celebrity endorsement second, and then wrestling last. Because their president, Mark Shapiro, addressed and defended the recent rise in celebrity appearances in WWE. They're not learning from this. They don't give 2 shits about the actual feedback that pro wrestling fans are giving pro wrestling fans. Instead, he says having Hollywood tie-in celebs and stars like Logan Paul, Pat McAfee, Mark Wahlberg showing up and doing their thing, Tyrese Halliburton from NBA, getting into it in the ring with Jalen Brunson. That's not new. It's just on a larger stage now. We are spending a lot more time to market the brand and the content. And when you do that, you're going to win some folks over, but you're also going to lose some folks away. Yeah, they've lost a ton. Show me the people that you've won over. I'll wait. I'll wait, Mark, because I'm seeing a lot of people leaving in droves. Not a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, I love that Jelly Roll was at WrestleMania. I love that I Show Speed was at WrestleMania. That's awesome. No. Pro wrestling fans hate that shit. Basic ass wrestling fans that are super casual and more into the spotlight and the grand old stage of it are the only people that care about it. But those aren't real pro wrestling fans to begin with. You let me know down below what you thought about WrestleMania, if you even watched it. I only watched the free stuff that was on ESPN. The rest of the stuff, I just got updates throughout the night, and I was able to kind of stream some stuff on Twitch before it was taken down. So I saw, bits and pieces of it throughout the weekend, but I was also very busy with family stuff. So a lot of it was highlights for me, honestly, before I went to bed last night, and just reading reports, seeing the cage match ratings, reading people's thoughts on there. Overall, I think WrestleMania was a damn mess. And next year, being in Saudi Arabia, I'm seeing people begging for Tony Khan to maybe put Forbidden Door around the same time as WrestleMania next year, where you can have this large, grand Forbidden Door where they do it with a bunch of promotions to kind of counter WrestleMania and show what pro wrestling is really about versus a money-hungry machine that wants to go over to a country that has terrible politics and treats women poorly. It still has laws over there that are terrible. Let me know your thoughts on that. Let's get into some AEW stuff now. Tony Khan was a mastermind during WrestleMania. I want to bring this up real quick because shortly after night one, and realizing that a lot of people did not like it and it was received poorly, he goes on to just post on his Twitter and say, AEW is where the best wrestle. This week, don't miss Wednesday Night Dynamite live nationwide. Hilarious. I think this was perfectly timed because he sees that a lot of people are starving for actual pro wrestling. And then he did it again right after night two ended. Pro wrestling fans, the best wrestling in the world will be at All In this summer. Get your tickets for All In London at Wembley Stadium on Sunday, August 30th now. Tickets available. Another AEW thing I want to talk about quick in this video is Double or Nothing. It's got over 11,000 tickets. It'll be the second highest attended Double or Nothing in AEW history. And we don't even have that full of a card announced. We just have Okada and Takeshita for that title that's announced. And they already have 11,000 tickets sold. I can't remember what the max is for that arena that they're going to be in, but this is great, great news for AEW. And to close out this video, my DDT of this video. We've got a good one here, people. WrestleMania related. This person, Chan Man, goes on to say, I was at WrestleMania Live and had a great time watching the show. Then I checked Twitter and see people timing matches and breaking down in-ring minutes like it's an experiment. Meanwhile, the Super Bowl only has about 11 to 18 minutes of actual gameplay and a 3+ hour broadcast. That's a true stat, by the way. Look it up. And you don't see diehard NFL fans obsessing over that. The way some wrestling fans consume the product is insane. This is one of the worst takes I've ever seen. First off, pro wrestling and the NFL are way different. You cannot compare the two to something that is a team sport versus something that is typically individualized competition, tag teams as well, but you got so many more layers to it than the NFL doesn't have. You got storylines, promos, pro wrestling. People pay for pro wrestling. This is an awful comparison. It's just some diehard E-stand that's trying to defend the lack of pro wrestling that WWE has these days. Just basically saying, oh, it's okay that, we had 2 hours worth of ads and promos and commercial breaks for WrestleMania this past weekend. It's perfectly fine to be charged up the asshole for these ticket prices. It is not. This person with an L take, and that is why you are this video's DDT. That's all I had in this video on Screw the Script. Again, let me know down below your thoughts on WrestleMania. Did you like anything at all? And then let me know your thoughts on the Double or Nothing news. Are you excited for Dynamite this Wednesday? I certainly am. As always, this has been Maverick with Screw the Script. Thanks for watching.